Morning, happy Friday, and welcome back to the NOFO Live podcast, where I, Sunita, along with my co-host Tracy, we hop on every Friday and talk about all things North Fork. It is a warmish, rainy spring on the North Fork. I mean, it didn't show rain in the forecast, but it's gray and it's wet. But I was scrolling through my phone and because I have a lot of cherry blossoms in my backyard, and I was scrolling through my phone for all the cherry blossom photos from Greenport, and oh my God, it's reminding me that the 15th or so, I mean, it's peak bloom, I guess, so a little less than that we will be living in this beautiful cherry blossom land. Good morning, Tracy. How are you?
Good. I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I was scrolling through my phone. Good morning, Jaymee. And I was looking at the cherry blossom photos because the buds in my backyard are starting. So as much as it's gray and yucky and rainy, I'm like, think spring, think spring, think spring.
Well, I will tell you, I was doing some work in my yard, and I saw there's new buds on my hydrangeas, like new leaves coming out. So it's
Well,
happening.
my daffodil jungle is starting to bloom.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
I love your green, Jaymee. You came ready for I don't know. Somehow I'm like, yay,
I
Florida,
know.
let's
You know
go.
what's so funny? I was trying to decide. I was like quickly getting ready and trying to decide what to throw on. I'm like, green. It's spring. It's
Yeah.
it's cheerful.
Well,
But I agree with you. It's our daffodils and also our hydrangeas are starting to bud out a little bit. The daffodils are starting to open. I feel like I was looking at photos from this time last year, and I feel like everything is about like a week later
yeah,
this year
yeah.
than it was
Well,
last
that's
year.
why the cherry blossom photos, like I said, I mean, I love hydrangeas and peonies, and they're coming, but I want to focus on the cherry blossoms
Yes.
first because they're coming first. And then Greenport actually does have so many of the
Yeah.
gorgeous streets. I mean, it's not quite DC, but it's definitely worth driving through and looking. So I
It's
can't wait.
absolutely. I remember back before child, I used to go specifically and walk down Main all the way from Sound to Front Street. And that is a beautiful walk and tons of gorgeous photo ops and everything. I loved that
And I
walk.
think there's a pedal run or something. I really have never done it. Somehow the date has never worked. But there is a Greenport Cherry Blossom Festival per se.
Yes.
We'll
Yes.
do a little deep dive and sort of. And maybe Jaymee, there's a story for you right there.
There. Yeah. Maybe that's my
Yeah.
next story for the North Fork Sun.
All
Yeah.
right. Let's jump in and introduce yourself and tell us how you ended up on the North Fork.
Oh man, how much time do you guys
We got a lot of time. We got a lot of time.
well, hello everyone. My name is Jaymee Sire, and yes, I'm new-ish to the North Fork. About a year and a half ago is when we closed on our house, but it was, I would say, almost 2 years ago when we had like our magical like aha weekend here on the North Fork. My partner Justin is a photographer and videographer, and there's this really fun party band that we work with. They do a lot of events and weddings and that kind of thing on the North Fork and also just all over the region. But they happen to be playing this birthday party at Greenport Harbor Brewing. And so I just kind of like signed myself up to tag along and kind of made a weekend out of it. And leading up to that, we had kind of been starting to think about moving out of New York City. And randomly, just like different people in my life were like, have you looked at the North Fork? Because I kept saying we loved like out east and everything. And just like these little like things in my ear just kept saying North Fork, North Fork. And then we just had honestly like the best weekend. It was beautiful weather. We just like kind of hopped around wineries, food, beach, all of the things that we all love about the North Fork, and just completely fell in love with it and thought to ourselves like, hey, like let's maybe like see what's out there, like what's on the
Well,
market just for fun.
shout out to the brewery because they do find the best bands. I don't
They
know.
do.
I've never been there and had bad music. It's always so you had a perfect start.
We did. We had a wonderful start. Like one of the band members, they were actually staying at a friend's house that was on the market. So that's kind of what even started us even looking like even casually at properties. And then Justin kind of stumbled upon this listing that I'm, sitting in right now. And it was just we didn't believe it was real at first. We're like, why? Like, how is this even possible? Like, why is it still on the market after 10 days? It seems like it should have been snatched up by now.
Wait, did
And
you say 10 days?
it
Because
was
that
on.
I thought you were going to say 10 months. I was like, 10 days is
No,
nothing.
but
But for
we
the
were
North
just
Fork,
no,
I
I know.
understand. For the North Fork, it's very fast.
Yeah, and so we were shocked because it was just for us. It was just like this like idyllic, perfect property. The couple that lived here previously, they had lived here for 30 years, like took
Oh,
immaculate care of it. We were talking about all the flowers and beautiful trees. I mean, this entire property was basically planted by them and they just did such a wonderful job. So we were happy to just come in and just keep saying like, let's not screw it up. Let's just not mess it up. So far, so good.
So
so
what were you
what
doing in the New York City?
What was that?
What were you doing in New York City this whole
Uh,
time?
uh, so
Just a little something at the Food Network, maybe?
oh yes, yeah, I guess I got sucked into your question about the North Fork, but yeah, me in general, I've worked in TV for most of my career, mostly in sports, so I've kind of like hopped around the country. I'm from Montana. My second job was in San Diego, then it was San Francisco, then I moved to the East Coast. I was in Connecticut working at ESPN. I got laid off about, I guess at this point, probably 9 years ago, and had always wanted to live in New York City. And Justin and I had just started dating at the time. And he had been in the city for a very long time. So he was willing and able to go wherever. But I kind of felt like I never got that real time to live in New York, even though I had visited so many times, especially living in Connecticut. So yeah, we lived in Brooklyn for 7 years and kind of just worked from home, so to speak. I do travel a lot for work as well. I host a lot of like live events. I now host, as you mentioned, the podcast for Food Network that kind of started up during the pandemic and was able to really do that out of our apartment. So when the opportunity kind of came up to maybe make this leap out to the North Fork, it was an easy decision in that like we knew that we'd already kind of been working out of our home in the city for about 5 to 7 years at that point. So we knew we could make it work. And luckily, the Food Network is so awesome and has been so gracious with my schedule and everything. And we don't do video on our podcast; it's audio only, so it makes it really easy to just really podcast from anywhere. So
Oh,
most
so
of the time,
you're like a legit real podcast, as
okay, come
opposed
on.
she's got
as
a real
opposed to whatever it
microphone
is
in
that
a
we're doing
padded
here,
room, I'm
Tracy.
sure. Yeah.
Oh, well, it's not padded, but it is pretty soundproof in here. I do have a mic. I'll show you the microphone, but we have like this tech setup here that is, I don't want to mess with. But yeah, we're able to do it here. I'm also able to do it on the road if I am traveling. So it has been a very flexible schedule. It's definitely like my main thing. It's not my only thing. Justin, my partner, and I also run a small creative studio, like it was out of our apartment, now out of our house. So all sorts of photo, video, creative services, just help with those kind of things, so we can still do a lot of those things from here. He still works for that band that kind of in a roundabout way brought us here to the North Fork, so he often has to travel for those gigs anyways. So yeah, we just have a little bit longer drive sometimes if we do have to fly out or be somewhere other than the East End, but we feel like it's worth it.
So tell us about your getting introduced to the North Fork Sun and what you're doing there.
Yeah, no, it was a very, I guess, kismet moment. They actually interviewed me for a story last fall. I was judging a vegetable and like jelly and jam little competition they had it over at the Hallocksville Fair, the community fair that they have out there, the country fair, I guess. So I got interviewed for that, and then I don't know, I've always loved writing. I've had a food blog for a very long time has not been updated in quite some time, but during my sports years, it was kind of my little creative outlet to work on writing and photography and just kind of dive into food, which was something that was becoming more of an interest for me. I mean, it always has been in a way, but the blog kind of helped me like unlock a lot of that. So yeah, I kind of reached out to the editor, Chris, and said, like, are you looking to do more, food and lifestyle coverage? And he said, actually, yes.
I was going to say the timing just seems perfect because
Yeah.
It
Chris launched
was.
maybe 2 years ago, and I mean he's an amazing reporter, amazing writer,
Yeah,
and amazing editor. But he's and a North Fork Polar Bear Plunger, but he can't do it all. So he
exactly.
definitely was looking to grow his team.
Yeah, he is doing a lot. I will say he is a very busy guy. He welcomes the help. He knows he wants to grow it, and to do that, he needs more writers, more reporters. So I've kind of taken on this food and lifestyle editor position, where I'm not only like writing and kind of figuring out which stories we want to cover in that sphere, but also helping to bring on some other writers so he doesn't have to always depend on me, especially if I'm traveling. So yeah, we're just like actively growing the site, but I think so far it's gotten a lot of really positive feedback, just because a lot of people, everybody that's working on it, like we all love the North Fork as much as like I was just describing. So I think having a place to really have like actual well researched, well investigated stories that Chris does a fabulous job at. But also I think it's important to really celebrate and highlight the restaurants, the wineries, the breweries, like the farms, like all of these things, like I said, that we all, that makes the North Fork so magical. I think those need to be highlighted just as much as all of the news stories as well. So I think it's becoming a really nice mix, and hopefully we'll continue to grow it.
So I have a question. As you're talking about your background, I just keep thinking about how much you must be loving all of the farm stands around here. Do you also cook? Is that how you got your love of food? And if so, where are you going? What farm stands? I mean, this is a question I
Wait,
ask.
we're jumping ahead, but
I
sure,
know,
let's
but
get into
but
it.
this is a natural line of questioning.
No, really, because it really goes back to what got you involved. Like
Right.
I'm a self-proclaimed foodie. Nobody has to say it to me. I just say it to myself. So what got you on this food journey in terms of the food podcast as well at Food Network?
Yeah, I've always loved food. I've always kind of loved, exploring that. But, being from Montana, I would say we're a little bit sheltered in terms of like options and exposure to other types of cuisines. So, when I went off to college and then studied abroad in Spain and traveled around Europe, my senior year, that was, I think, when, I got bit, by that travel bug and also that food bug. So I was just always like very interested in trying to like learn how to make these things that I was trying in all these different countries. And so when I moved to California, and specifically San Francisco, I was part of CSAs out there as well. And I was just always talking about food. And I was like learning how to use these different ingredients because that's what I got in my CSA box that week. And so I think for me, it was a really fun way to start exploring food and just how to cook different things. And so I had a coworker that was like, you should start blogging about this. And so I did. And I think that helped me really dive into a lot of different things, like the writing, the photos, but also like you said, the cooking. And honestly, I cook almost every day, I would say. I mean, I do love to go out to eat. And obviously a lot of the restaurants that I'm, featuring in the Sun are some of my favorites. And so we do obviously like, we're not like in the house all the time, but I do really love to cook. So to answer your question about farm stands, it's just like a kid in a candy store type thing. And
Yeah.
I love that I do have those farm roots. My family was cattle ranchers and also wheat farmers, and so I come from that, but my whole life I feel like I've been chasing like the big cities. So being out here is really fun to slow down and also just really get to meet and talk with the people that are growing our food. So we love Bayview because it's really close to us, and it feels like a very robust farm stand. It not only does it have their vegetables, it has other local produce, it has other local things, in terms of the dairy. Like we love their garlic butter that they get from Ronnie Brook. And they have the NOFO pot pies in there if you don't want to go pick one up at the store, things like that. So that's kind of like our go-to, I would say. But I mean, there's so many great ones. Like I kind of was late in the game last year to Sangli, but I love that there's so many of like the unique like Asian vegetables that I love, like the sweet potatoes and different things like that. So I love that one for a little bit more unique produce. And I also discovered Eight Hands last year, and just like their meat counter, but also like their store. So I'm excited to kind of dive into some of the smaller ones as well. Like I'm still very good friends with the people that used to live in our house. So I ask her all the time for recommendations. She gave me a couple the other day that I also want to look into that are a little bit, smaller farm stands, still do CSAs and that kind of thing. But I feel like there's so much to explore out here. I feel like I've just started scratching the surface.
So speaking of that, if someone's watching and they have what they think is a great story, how is that something that people can reach out to you, email you at the Sun and say, "Oh, what would you cover this?" Is that
Yeah,
something?
absolutely. I do have a Norfolk Sun email. I have to remember what it is, but if you actually go to my Instagram profile, a lot of people don't notice this, but I do have like an email button that'll go straight to my Gmail account, so you can always use that. You can always try DMing. As you guys know, I'm not the quickest to respond to DMs, so I would say avoid the DMs. But you can definitely use that email button that's in my profile, or I'll also
That's funny.
make.
After you mentioned that to me, I tested our own button. No, the email button, I
Oh
mean.
yeah.
And ours is set up too, but I never think of using it. So I'm wondering, so many other people probably have it. So just general PSA, people, if you're trying to reach somebody where in their Instagram profile where it says email, click. Maybe it's there because ours is
I
there too.
agree. Yeah, I mean, it's like I know it's people are like, oh, I didn't think that would work. I do get a lot of cold emails, so I always am curious if people have found me through through just that email button, or if they found it some other way, because it doesn't actually tell you that it came from
Well,
Instagram, which is interesting.
you mentioned Montana, and immediately I wrote down, and maybe that's a feature connected to this. There, you do get bison burgers here, and I believe there's like a bison farm somewhere. Is
Oh,
it near Janesport?
I
Yeah,
think
I know
I've
it's
my
seen
boys
that.
the
drove past it
owner of
once.
Tweeds has bison, and
Some
he
bison.
yeah.
But they
That
raised
was
it
my high
here.
school mascot.
Well, they raised it here, so it's definitely
Yes.
a
Yeah.
feature. There you go.
Yeah, there you
In
go.
this 30 minutes, we're going to find so many things
I
you
know.
could
So I'm
say.
gonna I need to start taking notes so I could get some more story ideas.
Well, and I will tell you that he's had those forever because as a child, my dad's friends with him, and my dad used to bring us out to see the bison out on
Oh,
the farm.
cool.
So it's been a long history of that.
Well,
That's
they're
so
still
cool.
there. He's definitely still there because I know the boys drove by
Yeah.
once and they were wondering if the
Yeah.
burgers are available someplace or
Uh,
whatever. So,
no, I
once you
love
publish
that.
the story, I can forward it to them. So you've done a few stories around here. I know I saw you. Also, you were mentioning about being a judge, the judge at the chili festival
Oh,
at
yes.
Greenport Brewery. That is always a great event. So tell us a couple of features that you've done recently of local restaurants and what did you eat there?
Yeah, I mean, actually, so it's funny. Like, you're catching me at a good time, because I actually just had back-to-back articles published in the Sun. So yesterday, we did a feature actually on my fellow chili cook-off judge, Carolyn from Love Lane Kitchen. She's like just such a ray of sunshine. I mean, I think that entire business is, and I think that's kind of hopefully what I kind of conveyed and captured in the piece that published yesterday. So that was fun. Obviously, like, that's just like an iconic, Norfolk's beloved spot that everybody really has like an emotional connection to, for, just the atmosphere and the welcoming nature, and just how much it feels just like you're going to visit your friends versus, going out for lunch. So I think that one was really fun. The one that published this morning was on Little Fish. They are reopening for the season this weekend. They're planning like a big Easter brunch, and they're going to have brunch service, starting in May as well. So that's kind of a big news coming out of there. But that one was really fun because, that magical day that I mentioned, where we kind of like explored and fell in love with Norfolk, that was like our dinner spot that night. So like that was kind of where we ended like this, magical day where we're like, just gallivanting around the North Fork, but ended there and then went to watch, the sunset on Kenny Beach. So that was kind of a fun full circle moment for me to be able to write that story. And they, Arden had us come in this past Tuesday. So the staff was all there. They were literally putting the restaurant back together, trying out some new dishes. So we kind of got to get a little sneak peek at some of the new dishes that'll be on the menu starting tonight. They've got dinner service tonight, and all weekend. Then, like said, they've got the big Easter brunch coming up on Sunday. So, yeah, those are the most recent ones. But there's been a lot. I also, my very first one was on Larry over at 1760 Homestead, who is just such a gem of a human. And he kind of invited us in to see their process as well. Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's only
I
been like
like his I
seven
like
so
his
far.
farm I like his farm chef tag. I really
Yes.
like that because he does grow, obviously he's a farm and he's also a chef, and I know I forget
Well,
what show he
wasn't
was
he
on.
also on Food Network? Didn't he
He
do?
was on
He was on
a
a
he was Netflix show.
He was
Yeah.
on a
Oh,
He just
cooking
Netflix.
show.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget what
yeah.
it was, but yeah. We'll look it up and tag him. But I was going to say, one of the things that Tracy and I love about our job or what
Mhm.
we do is the way it
Which
weaves
one?
us. Well, I mean this one. I don't have
Okay.
another job. Well, I do have another job. I never think about it as a
It's all
job.
right. I have
But
like 10
about No
jobs.
Light and what we do is it has a beautiful way of just weaving us into the community in a way that really fills us up.
hmm
And your job at North Folkestone, it is a job. I don't know why I
No,
put
it is a
quotes.
job. I have multiple, so it's
um,
okay. It's not like my main.
in
It's
a
not like
in a
my only job.
similar fashion, obviously brings you to the food aspect that you enjoy. But writing these stories and walking into the doorsteps of all of these small businesses, I see so many parallels in terms of the joy that it has been bringing and will continue to bring into your life as you explore the North Fork and showcase it more and more.
No, I feel the same way. Another one that I was trying to remember, we did a feature on Braun Seafood as well, and Cody Homan over there, like he had invited Justin and me over like last fall just to come check out the business. Like I think he had seen, I'd maybe tagged them in something, and so I just like those relationships. Like we already had like started building that relationship, and then my opportunity came about with the son, and I was like, oh my gosh, we should absolutely feature Braun Seafood. So a lot of it kind of comes that way where I either have like maybe some friendships that get, more developed through doing it, or vice versa. Like I'm meeting some really, really amazing people. And I feel like I feel so much more connected, to the local community. And especially because I think our first year here, we were just kind of catching our breath and figuring out all the expenses of owning a house. I'm sure anybody out there can relate, where you're just like a little bit treading water for the first year. So I feel like now this is like our true first year where we get to really get out there and explore. And I think this has been a wonderful way to do that, because not only are we exploring and meeting all these people, but I also get to shine a light on them, and show everybody around here the wonderful things that they are doing. So I think, it's a mutually like good vibes, beneficial thing that's happening.
So tell us a little bit about the North Fork, not North Fork, the Food Network podcast. Is it called Obsessed? Is
It's
that
called Food
what?
Network.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. People think it's like Food Network obsessed. So it's essentially it's very geared towards like the Food Network super fan. Like you're obsessed with Food Network. You want to consume like as much extra content, interviews. So I just
Yeah.
Steven just said, you don't own a house, it owns you. Yes, that is so true. I love that. I'm now like tuning into some of the comments. But yeah, so Food Network obsessed. It is very much geared towards the super fan. But I always tell people, like, I think as long as you're a fan of just food and chefs and just that kind of talk, and also just like hearing somebody's like, success story, I think it, like, a lot of the interviews are very inspiring, because everybody kind of has a different path to reach the position of wanting us to interview them, because most of our chefs and our guests are somehow connected to the network, whether they're whether it's Bobby Flay, who we've had on a couple of times, or it's somebody that's like up and coming, but maybe they're on doing well on Tournament of Champions or something like that, or maybe it's like an up and coming content creator in the food space that was on the Food Network hot list this year. So usually there's some sort of network tie-in. I always tell people that, because I do get a lot of pitches. I have no control over who we book, which is probably a good thing, because then I don't have
It
to.
is a Food Network podcast, so
It's
like you
their
said, it's
yeah,
connected to just
exactly,
like our niche is really the North Fork, right? And we
exactly.
do get people that reach out to us from the South Fork and Long Island, and depending on what the relevancy or connection is, because there's 100,000 podcasts out there,
There's
so
so many, yeah. So, but it's fun, because I also am a super fan of the network. I have been for a really long time, so it's been fun for me. But it's an interview based podcast, so we'll have one guest per episode, and really just get to sit with them, digitally, but but sit with them for 30 to 60 minutes, which is actually really incredible when you think about it. I mean, you guys do it every week live, which is impressive. So like, don't sell yourself short on like real podcasting, because that's what this is, right? You're sitting and holding a conversation with somebody for a pretty long period of time. And I just think that that's so fun, especially because, my background in TV, I come from sports where, it's very fast. You maybe get, when I was doing Sports Center on ESPN, it was like, oh, you might get 4 minutes with this guest, right? And so you have to really like, okay, what 3 questions am I going to ask this person? Because that's probably all the time you have. Whereas I feel like with a podcast, especially one that's like kind of structured like this, or like Food Network Obsessed, I really just get to sit down and chat, and like, if they say something that I find interesting, I'll follow up on that, because if I think it's interesting, like, probably somebody else is out there thinking it's interesting as well. So
I
for
mean,
me,
spoiler alert, we're doing this to entertain and educate ourselves. So if
yeah,
somebody else is
exactly.
getting something else out of it, good
That's
for
the
them.
bonus. Yeah. So no, it's been really fun. They came to me with the project idea at the end of 2020, so right in the middle of the pandemic, and we launched it in 2021, and not really knowing where it would go. And here we are, over 5 years later. We just actually today drops our 201st episode. Last week we celebrated
Wow.
number 200. So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of crazy when you think about it. 200 episodes of anything, I think is impressive. But it's certainly something to be proud of. And I'm kind of blocking them. We have won a couple of awards that are back there, so that's always very
That's great.
affirming as well. But honestly, the best feedback is just from fans. I'll get random DMs or even emails sometimes. People telling me like, I love your podcast, even though it's not mine. But telling me that, or like they really like this conversation, or like the comments that are on, Apple or whatever. It does like give me warm fuzzies, because like you said, like we're entertained, we're learning stuff on our own, but if hopefully it's entertaining to the people listening as well. And I think 5 years and 200 episodes, I would say that hopefully it is.
Well, and it is your show because, as we can attest, as you're having a conversation with someone, just like you said, something sparks your interest, and then it, you ask a question and you lead the conversation where it's going to go. So it does have your signature of personality on the questioning.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so lucky that, Food Network trusts me to do that, right? Like we'll go into an episode or an interview with, an outline that like kind of has some, programming notes and different things. Like obviously I'm doing my own research as well, to make sure that I'm prepared going in. We do have like a rough outline that we follow, but like I would say at least half of what you hear on the podcast is not from that, right? Like it kind of gives me a starting point, but like you said, you follow up on questions, you hear something that's interesting, you want to like dive a little bit deeper, might end up spending 5 or 10 minutes on a subject that like wasn't even in the outline to begin with,
Yeah.
because it does spark that. And so I think that's where I feel like I have, evolved and excelled throughout, these 5 years, because I do come from TV, right, in this shorter, format. So understanding how to let things breathe a little bit and ask questions that kind of lead up to a story and kind of do that naturally, has really been fun to kind of hone those skills. And yeah, like I said, Food Networks trust me pretty much implicitly to do that. They're on the call to make sure everything is going, according to plan. But, at the end of the day, ours isn't live, so like they can edit it.
We do not have that.
Well, I mean, we consider it sometimes, and I know we've even talked about maybe having not necessarily props, but like having a little microphone and
Oh,
headphones, so it looks more podcasty and professional. Here, I
oh,
see
Larry's
Larry coming
here.
in. You missed the
Larry,
convo about you, Larry, but welcome.
Larry, your
Uh,
your your ears must have been burning. I was singing your praises about 5 minutes ago, but welcome. Thank you so much
But
for
then
being
we
here.
go back to loving this live format. And, we're always, every time we talk about potentially having a guest co host, because Tracy does have a full time day job, which makes her travel quite a bit. But I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't think you need an interview. This was your interview for the job. If you're ever looking
You're
to
hired.
guest co host on Fridays and be live, Open invite. Come join
Okay,
us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me know. I'm happy to do it. You know,
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
like,
totally different. There's no editing, so whatever you say will be on camera.
Yes.
that's fine. That's
And
fine. I did live TV for 20 years, so
No,
it's
no
totally
makeup,
fine.
no makeup needed because we've shown up in workout clothes. We've shown up in pajamas on the post holiday because why not?
it's
Right?
funny that you say that because I literally was going to text you last night, Sunita, and be like, would our guest be okay if we all wore pajamas tomorrow?
We did
Well, you
that
know
for
what? You
remember
could
post
actually do
Thanksgiving
that.
show when
I was
Kelly
gonna
was
say,
on. We all were in pajamas
I
the
think
day
you could
after
actually,
Thanksgiving.
that could be your thing. Like you could just be like, wear
Everybody show up in
pajamas on
pajamas.
Friday, pajama party kind of thing.
Speaking
Yes.
of thing, I think Bollywood is becoming our thing, Tracy, because the amount of people that are reaching out to me about it and asking for it to be like a semi-annual or 3 times a year thing. But
That's so
anyway, for
cool.
those who don't know, we are at a 5 year mark as well for this podcast.
Congrats.
So for our annual party this year, we are throwing a Bollywood themed party
Oh
again.
my gosh,
Only
fun.
because we weren't allowed to change the theme by popular
Yes.
demand.
By popular
Um,
demand, everyone's like, don't
Yeah.
change
but we're
anything.
so excited. I mean, it's going to be at RGNY this year,
Oh, fun.
May 20th.
Okay. Well,
So we
listen,
are.
maybe I'll have to pitch a story for the North Fork Sun.
Yes. And
Well, they
start
covered it last
shopping for
year.
your
You're like, but it's
outfits
already
now.
sold out.
Chris
Well,
did cover it last year,
oh, you
just
did. Okay. Well, there you
FYI.
go.
But yes, we're happy to have, but it is going to be a little bit different this year because we have a new, oh my God, not new, but we have a different food team this year because it's at a new venue. So Christina from the Treatery and
Oh,
Ursula
yes.
from 𝗙cie Chocolate,
Oh,
they did the
perfect.
dessert table last year, and this year they are just going to do the whole food and the dessert. And
Oh my gosh,
I'm the most
amazing.
excited. I don't know, Tracy. I know you're super excited about the whole event, but I'm the most excited about the food
About the
that
food,
they're going to
yeah.
create.
As usual, I am the most excited about what I'm going to wear and what everybody is going to wear, and then how we are going to show it off on the dance floor.
There you
Oh,
go.
well,
Well, the
that's very
dance part is
important too.
covered. We're still working on the outfits and we're
Yeah.
working on the menu. So stay tuned. We'll be talking about all of this between now and May 20th.
Oh no,
Yes.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and in fact, actually, speaking of 𝗙ecie, yeah, Arden said that one of the like this, there's a special dessert on Sunday at Little Fish that Ursula's doing, so that she's almost going to be
Oh,
kind of like a offsite pastry chef for Little Fish to do more like special like desserts and events like that. So
I love
yeah, you
that.
might want to check over there if you're a big fan of Ursula and 𝗙cie.
absolutely. Absolutely.
All
All
right,
right.
let's kick off our NoFo Live 5. So,
Okay.
Jaymee, if you were going to take Sunita and I out for a meal, your choice, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, where would you take us?
Okay, well, I'm this is like a little bit longer of or answer than you probably were expecting, but so we do this fun thing on the podcast, Food Network's Obsessed. We've asked the same question at the very end of every podcast, and so that question is like, take us through your ideal perfect food day. What's on the menu? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert. And I always say there's no rules. You can travel, time travel, do whatever you want. So I thought it'd be fun if we did a little perfect food
Yes.
day for me,
Sure.
taking you guys
Yes.
through
North
the
Fork
North
edition. Is it North
North
Yeah.
Fork
Fork.
edition? Okay.
Yeah, North Fork edition. Yeah. All right. So breakfast, I'm not a huge breakfast. I definitely drink a lot of coffee for breakfast, but we love Black Sheep Bagels. Obviously there's two locations. There's one near us that we go to a lot. I think they have a great bacon, egg, and cheese. We also like love their, I don't know if I'm like, now there's gonna be a run on their twists, but they make these like giant twist things. It's almost like a bagel meets like challah bread, but it's just like a bigger twist
Well, they also make a
bagel.
flagel. I don't know if that's what it's
Yes.
called,
Maybe
but it's
that's
like a
what
Yes.
is that
flat
what that
bagel.
oh no,
A
no, that's
flat bagel.
different. That yes, they've got a lot of different they make a lot of different things with their bagel dough, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
They've got the cinnamon rolls as well. But yeah, we love those and we just love to do like a rip and dip like with some cream cheese. For lunch, maybe we'll go like a double stop, like maybe stop by. I'm also like I have all these like all the the businesses I've featured for the Sun are like fresh in my head. But I was thinking maybe we love the clam chowder from Braun Seafood, so maybe go there for a cup or a bowl of clam chowder. Maybe go over to Love Lane Kitchen for the Cuban panini that we just had the other day.
Oh, okay, I'm switching to the salmon sandwich in that case because it's been
Okay.
on repeat. I think the last 6 times I have been there, I have
The
eaten it.
Sam. Okay,
Literally,
well
the
now I need to
same.
try it.
It's on a special. It's on the board. It's a salmon sandwich. It is incredible. Incredible.
Okay. I obviously need more reps at Love Lane to explore all the menu. But but Carolyn did tell me her husband's favorite is the Cuban panini as well. So we devoured that. It was delicious. So that's lunch. I think maybe for like a little golden hour moment, we can go over to Silver Sands and either the Boathouse or Eddie's if it's nice out. The Boathouse was also one of my early stories for the sun, but I love the vibe over there. If you haven't been, it's like a really, really cool, like has kind of turned into this like cool local spot, but obviously amazing seafood and oysters. They grow their own oysters just off the shore right there. So we'll go there for some oysters and maybe cocktail. And then maybe let's go to Little Fish. And I love their cornbread. I love obviously the tuna tartare, taquitos, and I remember like a mussel dish that we had there last year that was really, really good. So that's dinner. And then obviously stop by Magic Fountain for either some seasonal, homemade ice cream. We also love their ice cream sandwiches. So we buy those a lot and usually have a package of those in the freezer. So that is my perfect food day North Fork edition so far. But obviously, I'm still, like I said, very much exploring
For
the
some
area.
bizarre reason, I am so hungry now. I can't even explain
I don't know
it. I
why.
don't know why, but I am literally like salivating.
I mean,
I'm
all
trying
of
to
those
figure out
places.
what I can
There's so
stop
many
at
good
today.
places. Yeah, there's so many good places around here. So I'm not like saying those over any others. Those are just fresh in my head because of the recent
I
stories.
feel you.
But
I feel you.
go
Okay,
read all
since
the
since we're
profiles on the
eating
North Fork Sun.
since we're eating so much, we have to be drinking something.
Oh
So
yes.
cocktail, mocktail, brewery, vineyard. What do you enjoy?
I'm gonna go vineyard. I've always been like a bubbles gal, so I love Sparkling Point. We got to go there last summer. That's when they were doing kind of this Monday fizzy. I think it was like fizz and fry on Mondays, and that's where I got
That's fun.
introduced to the Braun Seafood Truck. They had that out there, so you could get food from them while you did like a little sparkling flight while you look out at the vineyard. So that I would go with that just because I do love bubbles and I think Sparkling
Well,
Point does a really good
let's
job.
circle back to Dissect because she does a chocolate pairing there, which is also
Ooh,
amazing. So if you haven't been for that, go back for that.
okay, all right, noted.
Okay,
But
so
yeah,
Sunset.
what?
that's my.
Sunset, Sunita.
Okay, do you have a spot for Sunset? I mean, we already went to Little Fish, so I'm
I
assuming you've
know
already
that. I mean that.
discovered the best spot on the North
I mean,
Fork.
Kenny's Beach is a great. If we are at Little Fish for dinner, I think that is the sunset spot. Honestly, I just like love like sunset on our backyard. Like our back deck is just like one of my favorite things, and I think that's one of the reasons we don't leave the house too much because we do love just like our little 1.5 acres so much. It's just in the summer when it's like not too hot and the bugs haven't like come out
Yeah.
yet. I think like sitting on the back deck with something I grilled with maybe a glass of Sparkling Point or something else, but that's my favorite spot. But if I'm out and about, I would say Kenny's Beach or Iron Pier too. Like sometimes we've gone there
Yeah,
with our Magic Fountain. So
yeah, that's a good spot.
Ooh, that's a
yeah,
great idea to take the ice cream and go there. Because
yeah,
sitting by Magic Fountain, it can be so crowded
it can.
sometimes.
So just go in there.
And
That's what we
good
did that
tip,
last summer. Like
good
go
tip. I
there,
like that tip.
grab your to go, and then head out there for sunset. It was perfect. It was a great evening.
I like it. I like it.
Well,
And
we
there's comments
go ahead.
about the black sheep. I guess people are driving to Pennsylvania, but not leaving without their black sheep
Oh,
bagels.
see, I listen. We do the same thing. Like if we're driving somewhere, it's like, are we stopping by Black Sheep real quick? No, it's a great spot. I mean, and that this is coming from somebody that obviously like lived in New York City, where there's a million amazing bagel spots. I think Black Sheep's like really good. So good job, guys.
All right, so we already covered the farm stands before in our earlier questions. So wrap us up here. Tell us why you love being a part of the North Fork.
I think my favorite part, just being part of the North Fork is really the community. I think it's everything that we just talked about for the last, oh wow, 40 minutes now. So I tell a lot of long stories, guys. Sorry, thanks for hanging with me. But no, I think the community. I think we felt that right away. I don't think we really had that much in Brooklyn. Like we lived in a building with 200 units, and aside from the people that we knew when we moved into that building, when they moved out, we didn't really know any neighbors. We were really good friends with like all of the door staff and everything, but it didn't feel like people even wanted to hang out or talk to each other. And I feel like that's the opposite here. I just feel like everybody is like so warm and welcoming, and there really is a community. And you see that, like, I think a perfect example of that, I wrote about it actually in my Substack. But, the chili cook-off, judging that event, I had never been to it before. It was freezing cold that day. And looking around at that brewery, it was jam packed, like people came out. And I feel like that's what people do here. It's like we might like hibernate a little bit in the winter, but if there's something, important or fun like that, I think people come out. And saw the same thing, we went to the banh mi pop up there, which was amazing as well, like a few
Well,
months ago.
speaking of people that came out,
Lynn.
there were hundreds of people
Yeah,
to
like
meet.
we almost didn't get. I told
Yeah.
her at the chili cook-off, because we were judging as well. She was sitting right next to me, and I was like, "We almost didn't get it." She's like, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "No, no, no!" Like
Yeah.
I was so excited and shocked to see that like that many people came out and they were so excited to support and also eat her delicious food.
Well, as you're discovering, that is the beautiful part about the North Fork is there is a true sense of community, and there is a genuine showing up for people in whatever way, in terms of celebrating or showing up when somebody needs something. And yes, we do hibernate a little bit in the winter, but now I think, even though it doesn't look like winter is over, so we have a couple of events coming up. Next week, we have our Mahjong
Ooh,
meetup, and
mahjong's
I'm
like, I feel like becoming like the thing
it
everywhere.
It
definitely
is.
is the thing for now. And we did a session last month and it was great. And this month, I think either today or tomorrow, I may have to cut off the number of people because we just have had such a tremendous response. So
That's
if we
awesome.
do, yeah, I don't think we'll do another one until June. So if you are thinking about it, just get a
Okay.
ticket today, tomorrow. And then, we'll circle back. And then there are a couple of events I want to mention for myself. One, I'm doing a pop-up at the Southampton Inn on April 11th. It's an
Oh,
event with James Lane Post. It is related to food. There are 8 cookbook authors going to be
cool.
present. I don't
Fun.
know if they're giving a talk, but they're going to be signing books, and I'll tag all of them. There's 8 really famous authors that are going to be coming. So that
Cool.
is April 11th at Southampton Inn, and I'll be doing a little pop-up for NOFO Style. And then last week we had Slow Food East End on, and they will have their Earth Day on April 18th in Jamesport at Golden Acres Farm, which if you haven't been to, that might be
It's
the perfect day for
amazing.
you to go visit.
Okay.
The
I know. I'm
site
like,
is,
I'm gonna have to watch this back and like take all of the notes of like all this. I
well,
got so many good story ideas. Or you guys can email
there's
them to me too.
5 years, there's 5 years of episodes you can catch up on.
That's
Yeah.
fair. That's,
and,
I'll
and,
just like
and
farm my content from your
yeah.
guys' previous conversations.
Sounds good. As long as you make the farm list for Tracy that she's looking for five
I
years
mean, I talk
about
about
who's
it
buying
every
what.
week.
Wait, what do you talk about every week?
So
I want someone to go back, because I don't have the time to do it. Go back through all of our episodes and listen to the question where everyone answers what their favorite farm stand is and what they get there, and
Mm.
curate a list of all the best things to get at all the different farm stands.
I think you could probably feed those into like an AI platform and have that do it for you.
okay.
Probably.
This 2026 may be the year it happens, but don't hold your breath. Don't hold.
Okay. Or just have an intern go through and like listen to the
That's
last.
what we're looking for.
That's what we keep
Intern
saying.
applications, accepting intern applications.
We keep saying we're looking, but we don't do any looking. Just
Yeah.
saying.
You're just like hoping like somebody will be like,
Yeah.
I will be the
There you go.
Yes.
intern.
There you go.
Yes.
Well,
We'll never know.
this was so fun, Jamie. Thank you for joining us and creating this foodie experience for all of us. It was so delicious, and I can't wait to try out some of these places today. If
Yeah,
it's hungry
exactly.
now.
You've got a whole weekend full of things that you could try out. But thank you guys so much for having me. It was so fun chatting with you. And yes, anytime Tracy, you're out, let me know, and I'll be happy to hop in and step in to try to fill your shoes. But no, thank you
Thank
guys so
you.
much for having me. It
Okay.
was really fun.
Thanks,
Thank
Jamie.
you,
Happy
everybody. Have a
Friday,
great
everyone.
You
happy
too.
Friday, happy Easter, and we'll
Yes,
see you
happy
next
and
year.
Passover. Yeah.
Take care. Bye bye.